Really excited. We've just got our first RealGood farm box delivered, plus a bunch of extra add-ons that we can have a lot of fun with. Today I'm going to be making a really fun spring soup. So we've had this amazing box get delivered featuring some local parsnips and Klug apples and asparagus. And then there's all these extra cool add-ons like bang bang chicken pot pie if you want to. You can order a meal kit from Gene and Georgetti. It's really neat what RealGood stuff is doing here. For my soup, I'm going to start with one of the things that is in the base box, and that's start by making croutons with bread from my mentor Paul Kahn's bakery at Publican Quality. Greg Wade is an incredible baker. He's a James Beard Award winner. It's pretty amazing when you see what he does. You should definitely follow him on Instagram. He's got an incredible page during the pandemic. He's been doing a great job of teaching people a lot about bread. So with this, what I'm going to do, I've just diced it up and tossed it with some extra virgin olive oil and one of my favorite dried spice blends, Herbs de Provence. This is going to be great, especially in the springtime, because Herbs de Provence has lavender, dried lavender in it, and I've always thought that was one of the best, most significant flavors of spring. So we're going to toss this in extra virgin olive oil and the herbs, dice it up, throw it on a sheet tray, pop it in the oven for about 10 minutes at 350. All right, great, so now we've got our croutons toasting in the oven. We're going to start building the base to our soup, which is a super simple mix of red onion, garlic, carrots, and celery. Heated up about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in here, and I'm just starting to sweat my onions. I'm going to bring them up from cold and not get too much color on them, but just let those start cooking. In the meantime, I took these beautiful little market carrots, and I'm not even going to peel them. I just rinsed them off and then just kind of scrubbed them off with a little paper towel. We're going to take both of these and just kind of come through here and just kind of cut them on a bias. You don't want them to be too thin because you don't want them to be too soft in the soup. We do the same thing with the celery. We got 2 celery stalks here. I'm going to cut these tops off and we're going to reserve these. Might save those tops for later. I've always loved the celery leaves, great flavor. And same thing, I'm just going to slice this on a bias. So we got about a cup's worth of vegetables here, and we've got our onions, which are cooking over at about medium-low temperature. Add our carrots and celery to the pot. Stir it down there. And then while those are starting to cook, we're going to slice up about 3 cloves of garlic. This is a great springtime soup. It's light, it's brothy, and it uses all the best ingredients that you're going to find in the RealGood farm box. I'll just go over this one more time on the garlic, kind of cross over it. Take that, and while our vegetables are cooking, we're going to add all this to the pot. Just give it a good stir. Kind of season at every stage of this, just a little bit of salt. And we're just going to saute this for about 5 minutes, let it sweat out, soften some of those vegetables just a touch before we add the rest. Oh, we've got our the base veg cooking in the soup over here. We're going to add what I think is a real secret ingredient here. It's ginger. It's a great way to just brighten up the soup a little bit. So we're just going to take that with a little microplaner. I'm using this one that's used for Parmesan cheese. And we're just going to grate about a couple teaspoons in. We don't want it to be too pronounced. Then we're going to add some bulk to the soup. So you can take any pasta, one of the keys to a minestrone, which this is going to shape up to be like, is to have a little pasta in there. You can use any small pasta. I had some pearl couscous I thought about using, but I also got to think about how I'm going to get my kids to eat this at home. And so the best thing to do is go for elbow macaroni, best way to sell it to kids. We're going to add about half a cup of elbow macaroni, stir it around. We don't really need to toast it or do anything with that. And then using a great local product, Made my own smoked chicken stock at home the other day. Was waiting for a good use for it, and here we are. Storing it in these beautiful mod pans made in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We'll try to get those in the farm boxes as well. But these are, this is just a smoked chicken stock that we're going to add, and we're going to cook the pasta in the soup. So it's about a quart going in now. And it's going to look like it's going to be real brothy and real watery, but we've got a lot more good stuff to add to it. So I'm going to let this pasta cook. We're going to turn the heat up just a little bit, bring that to a boil, and then once that pasta gets really, really close, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. So now we're going to take these delicious parsnips. If you're not familiar with parsnips, it's kind of like it's in the almost like in the carrot family. I always love parsnips. I think they're super versatile. They're very sweet. Can be very sweet, so it's going to add a nice little contrast to the occasionally bitter kale that we're going to have and simmer in this soup. So very easy. You just peel parsnips, cut off the tops, and then I just like to, for this, I'll just take it and kind of quarter the parsnips. A lot of fine dining chefs like to go through and take out the center of the parsnip because it can be sometimes tough or fibrous or maybe even a little bitter itself, and come through, and we'll just use 1.5 of these guys too, and just kind of cut them into little slices. Don't have to be too particular with it. But parsnip's also going to add a lot of body to this soup as well. Now you've got to be a little careful and make sure, because parsnip, like celery root, they kind of have the same consistency. You don't want to cook them too much. They can get a little mushy. But really great, roasted. One of my favorite veggies. And it kind of has a really long season too, which is great. While that's simmering, we've also got this great add-on with this lacinato kale. I like this because it's a more durable kale. We definitely want to have these greens that are in the soup. It really rounds it out, I think. This is super easy. We're just going to cut this into ribbons because we don't want too big of chunks, but we also want to cut it to where we can get it dispersed throughout the soup. A little bit of extra liquid from the kale that's going to come out of this is going to be terrific. And then lastly, we want to be real careful with this, is one of the great spring vegetables, and we got this beautiful asparagus from Klug, a bunch of great farmers in the area. They got a lot of this going on right now. You got about 3-4 weeks of this at its peak season, so take advantage of it. Take every opportunity as you can to have as many meals with asparagus as you can, because it's not around for that long. So while all this is simmering, I'm going to come through and just slice this. Love the tips of this. And we're going to slice this a little bit thicker because it is such a delicate vegetable. We want to make sure that it has some real texture in the final product and come through. I love slicing asparagus on the bias because it's got a real pretty color contrast within the vegetable itself. So take about 4 of these, cut them on bias. What's great about the local asparagus too is, especially early in the season, is that even the stems are a little tender. So you can go down a little further and get a little bit better yield on your asparagus than you might get if you're enjoying it from the grocery store and say this summer. Let's have a few more pieces here. And we want this to be a very full soup. We want there to be a lot of stuff in it and not too brothy, even though it is a broth-based soup. So we don't want to add it too soon though, because it definitely can get mushy. So simmering our vegetables over here. Pasta's getting kind of close. Hit it with a little bit more seasoning, kosher salt, and then a few turns of fresh cracked black pepper. Turn this down a little, let those vegetables get nice and tender. And in a second, we're going to add this asparagus, and then we're going to be ready to finish off the soup. Okay, so now we've let this simmer for about 3 or 4 minutes, so we're gonna add our asparagus that we just cut. And then in your box, you're gonna find we got these great lemons here. I like to add a little bit of lemon zest to it, and then a touch of the juice as we finish it up. So I'm gonna come through here and just grate a little bit of this. One of the things I like to do at home, at least, is to make sure that I don't juice my lemons until I get at least some of the zest off of it. It adds such a great subtle flavor without actually adding more liquid to whatever dish you're doing. In the end, we'll also squeeze a little fresh juice into this. So we're gonna let this simmer for about 3 minutes. Our pasta is getting really close to being done. Okay guys, so here's where we're at right now. See how bright the asparagus is? Kale is getting nice and soft. Okay, so now we're ready for the big finish. We're gonna ladle this soup up, and then we're gonna finish it with some fresh squeezed lemon juice, some grated parsley, Parmesan cheese, some chopped parsley, and then the delicious breadcrumbs that we added that'll really add some nice bulk to the soup. So, we come over here, lots of veggies, some of the pasta, plenty of broth, enough to go around here for everybody in the family. Really try to make sure that you get a nice mix of everything in there. Hit this with a little squeeze of our lemon. Chop the parsley next. Just about 2 tablespoons is all you're really going to need. Don't have to chop it up too much. We don't want to just destroy the herbs, but we do want to cut them up enough. Handful of our publican quality bread croutons. I can finish it with a little bit of our grated Parmesan. There's some other great cheeses that can be added on with the box that would be great with this as well. I had some Parmesan hanging around. I would definitely look at what else RealGood is offering for the boxes. And so there you have it. Got our beautiful springtime minestrone with PQM croutons. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll have some more videos starting next week.